Hey, on today's video, I have a quick tutorial that goes over how to quickly fix mixed color temperatures in Adobe Premiere. We're going to take a clip that looks like this and target just the warm yellow temperature so that it looks like this. So let's get started. So I actually did a tutorial on this very thing back in the day using HSL secondary, and to be honest, I wasn't even aware that this technique that I'm about to show you existed. But now that I found it, I'm so glad I did, because I can literally accomplish the exact same thing using the curves adjustment in just a matter of, honestly, seconds. HSL secondary still has usefulness that you can't get out of the curves adjustment. It's just for a different use case, and I'm gonna link you to that at the end of this video. So we've got our first clip loaded up, and I do have a basic color grade done on this clip. The problem that we see here is that it's just mixed lighting all over the place. So there's some cool lighting, there's some warm lighting, and we want to try to make it look a little more even. So a very quick way to do that is just to go over to your curves adjustment, and you want to go down to hue versus sat, and you want to get your eyedropper tool and click on the color that you would like to work on. So somewhere maybe right here. And once we do that, you'll see that that's actually created this selection. And so then what you'll do is we're just going to grab the middle of that and start dragging it down. And you can see that as we did that, it brought down the yellow color temperature, and now it matches more with the rest of the room. Now you can drag this down farther, you just have to be a little bit careful, because the more you go, the more it's basically desaturating everything, and you don't want to completely pull the color out of everything. But I think this looks pretty good. So here's a before, and here's the after. And so I think this clip is pretty much good to go. And let's try another one. So this is an interesting clip, because I remember when I shot this, the lights in this room that I'm standing in here were not working. So the lights were off in this room, and then in this room the lights were on. So the problem is that now we've got completely different color temperatures. This is very cool, and then when we go into this room, it's very warm. So let's see if we can target the warm color temperature to match it. So we're on our curve selection, and we're going to click on our eyedropper tool and just click somewhere where we want to make a selection. And I'll click on these cabinets. These cabinets, I'm sure, are white, so I'm going to see if I can target that, and it's made our selection right here. Same thing, we're just going to click and drag the middle dot down, and there you go. So let's see what it looks like over here. And now we go in this room. Looks much more even. And again, you want to be careful. You don't want to pull this down too far, because then it's just desaturating the entire image. But I think this looks pretty good. And let's try our last one right here. This one's a little more challenging because we're actually working with different exposures. So this is a good example of where you would want to use your HSL secondary, because that will be useful if you're trying to adjust the exposure value of just certain areas. Something that, well, I don't know. Maybe this does it too, but I have no idea. So for the time being, I understand how to do that in HSL secondary. So let's go ahead and fix the color issues that this has, and then we'll see about adjusting the exposure. So we can see this looks correct in here, and out here we've got different color lighting. So I'm going to click my eyedropper tool, click on there, and then I'm going to drag this value down. And now it looks like everything is much more even in color. And then I'm going to go over to HSL secondary and see if we can boost this exposure just a little bit. So again, I'm going to click on my eyedropper tool and click on the area that I want to work on. And when I click on this checkbox right here, it shows me what my selection is. So basically, this is the only area that is selected at the moment. So I'm going to see if I can add to that selection. And it did. Probably a little bit too much, so I'm going to move these sliders around to refine my selection just a bit. And I think that looks pretty good. You just want to blur this selection a little bit so that any change that I make blends better with the original. And so now that we've got our selection, I'm going to uncheck this. So I'm just going to click on these three dots right here, which brings me over to my exposure adjustment. And we just need to make small, you don't want to make huge adjustments here, because if you do, it's going to start introducing a lot of noise. So we'll see how much we can push this up without the image falling apart. And that looks pretty good to me. If I play it back, we are getting a bit of noise here, but I think it's still passable. And it looks pretty good. And so let's see what that looks like before and after. And we've got a little bit more of an even exposure. So if you are looking for a more in-depth tutorial on HSL secondary to get more control over your color and exposure at the same time, then you're gonna wanna watch this video up here. It's super helpful. And if you found this video helpful, please leave me a comment below. And if you haven't done so already, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.